It's been called the greatest survival story of all time. Polar explorer Ernest Shackleton's gruelling 1916 quest to save his crew after their ship was trapped and crushed in the Antarctic ice. That anyone would want to replicate this journey seems unthinkable. But when we met Adelaide-based adventurer Tim Jarvis last year, that's exactly what he and his hand-picked crew of 5 were preparing to do, right down to using the authentic clothing, boat and equipment. Now safely back in Adelaide, Tim's reflecting on his own epic journey and how not even 4 years of planning could cover every base.
It was tougher than I expected it would be, for different reasons. I think we were lucky on the ocean, even though we planned well. I think if we'd had the mother of all storms, we would have been sunk, quite literally, as would Shackleton. And I think the land crossing of South Georgia was far more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
The Alexandra Shackleton is an exact replica of Shackleton's James Caird, and conditions aboard were the first challenge.
We were living on an area about the size of a queen-sized bed. That's for 6 men, so very, very small. So you're literally lying on top of one another. You're constantly trying to dry your clothes using your own body heat, and then you're back on deck every 4 or 5 hours to do your shift, basically keeping an eye on navigation and trying to keep the boat afloat. We had a lot of food, but we actually physically couldn't eat that food for the first 3 or 4 days. We were just too seasick, and it was just too rough to get the stove going. The stove was an old kerosene stove that had to be balanced between the legs of 2 of the men, and then you've got boiling water sloshing around in the pan on the top of the stove. It made it very difficult to cook anything. Bear in mind, we had a little mast which is only 3.5 metres tall. We had seas which are 3 times the height of the mast, and you're completely dwarfed by these grey mountains.
After 12 days at sea, the relief of making landfall at South Georgia Island was huge, but short-lived.
We landed, we celebrated, and then things went wrong rapidly thereafter. We had very bad weather, and injuries to half the team meant they were no longer able to continue, and suddenly the climb just looked like the steepest climb in the world. It looked like it was just unachievable. We had 3 glaciers to cross with all the crevasses that are present. These are very, very deep cracks in the ice which can easily swallow you up. The same thing happened to Shackleton. And we had 2 mountain ranges to cross, and we had no equipment. It was a very, very challenging 45-kilometre climb, essentially, with no gear. 1 axe between 3 men and 1 rope between 3 men, no tent, and just the food we could carry on our backs.
Were there moments when you thought, this is it, we can't go on?
It's not in my spirit to say that, in my nature to say that kind of thing, and it's not the way Shackleton did it. And I think if you're going to do it and to honour one of the early explorers like Shackleton, you've got to do it the way that he did.
As an environmental scientist, what sort of changes did you notice down there this time?
I think actually it was warmer than it would have been 100 years ago.
Tim's writing a book about his Shackleton epic, and more footage from the journey will be featured in a documentary. You can track news of both on his website. But he says his own experience only serves to make his predecessor seem even more extraordinary.
I think it's just served to elevate my appreciation of what he achieved. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, we didn't leave behind 22 men on Elephant Island or have a perfectly good ship get crushed in the ice and the dream of crossing Antarctica, just vanish before our eyes. We've really done what we could of his journey, and even that was just pushing us to the limit. So, the legend goes on as far as I'm concerned.